Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. As Jay pointed out, my name is Kyle. I am the resident tech expert for Lochinx. So we make everything and anything that you could want on a pedestrian gate. So everything from locks, hinges, closers, you name it, we take care of all of that. And that's also all that we make. So we focus solely on the exterior market. We don't offer anything that's interior. Everything that we make is meant to go on a gate, outside, take a beating, and we build it for all weather conditions. So from the closers to the locks, they're all tested to be outside. The closers, for example, are rated for temperature from -22 all the way up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So for those of us here in Chicago, even we had that brutal cold snap this past January and we were down in the -20 range, these will still work even in those harsh conditions. Or if you're going to take one of these to visit family in the Arizona desert, it's still going to work down there too. And that's all because of the hydraulic compensation built into the closers. Again, the bodies of the locks and the closers, it's all powder-coated aluminum. The components themselves are stainless steel. Again, that's true of all of our products so that they can take that wear and tear outside. For example, all the products are built to a 1,000-hour salt spray test, which is the equivalent to being outside on a beachfront property for 20 years. And then for the closers, they're all tested to 500,000 movements. And so again, what that's going to mean is that whether that's going onto just your backyard gate, or that's going into an HOA property, or an apartment complex, where it's going to see repeated use day in and day out, it's still tested to that 500,000 cycles, and it's going to hold up for years and years. That's why we stand behind all of our products. They all have a 3-year warranty for all the mechanical components. The electronic components are warranted for 2 years. We've got our name on it. We make everything. Everything that's got our name on it. We're not buying anything from overseas. We're not getting somebody else to make it for us. We design all of our products in-house. We manufacture everything, and it all comes out of our home office in Belgium. Now, I didn't come all the way in from Belgium. I'm only from Glendale Heights, which is where we're based out of. I didn't have to get my passport checked or anything like that. So fortunately, we're nice and close. It's why we can easily service customers that are local here. So again, everything that we have is readily available. Locks, hinges, closers, you name it. Now, what I want to give you guys is a little brief product demo. What I'm going to show you is how some of the stuff would go for our lock, for example. And so this is actually our install jig. This would clamp right onto your frame of your gate, and it's already got the drill pattern necessary so that you can install our lock. This is what it would look like right out of the box. So you'd open it up, the handles would be off of it. You'd see it here with your attachment bolts, your latching tip, and your deadbolt. And the way that this is going to work, I've already got it on here. Couple nice features on the installation jig. These guys, again, like I said, the Belgian engineers back home, they're not cutting any corners. They thought of everything. So, for example, it self-centers. Again, it's a little tall for my display here, but I didn't want to bring out a real gate and start drilling into it first thing in the morning. You all seem like very nice people, and I don't want to throw metal shavings all over you guys. So, what would happen is you put it on your frame, and you tighten it up. Couple nice features. They've even thought of everything. It's got a ratcheting handle on it. So once you get it all the way down to tight, it's not going to let you over tighten it. So in case the wife kicked you out early in the morning, you tripped over the dog, you went to work angry, you can't clamp this on here and over torque it and get it bound up on you. Once you get it down to tight, it'll start ratcheting just like your gas cap on your car, and you'll be good to go. All the drill bits are included in the tool case. So you'd even start off with your initial pilot bit. You drill your first hole, and then again, there's even a pin in there. You'd pin that into place, so now it's not going to move around on you. You start drilling the rest of your holes for your 4-hole pattern. Take this out. That's not going to come off of your frame. Like I said, obviously this one is already pre-drilled, just so I can show it off to you guys. And again, you'd now stage up to the next bit. You drill out just the outer portion of the top and bottom holes where it's going to mount. You don't go all the way through, which is why you'll see there and there the hole's a little smaller. It's from that initial pilot bit. So like I said, we're just going to drill out top and bottom, and then again all the way through for where the deadbolt and latch tip are going to be. Then finally, you stage all the way up to the big boy, and you go all the way through for your deadbolt and your latching tip. Now it's ready to accept the lock. Bolts and sleeves, everything's already on there, everything's good to go. And everything that we make is completely reversible. Nothing is left or right-handed. It's great for us, it's nice for you guys, it's even good for the guys selling our stuff, because the advantage is if you come in and you say, hey, this is the size of my gate frame, or here's the width and weight of the gate that I need to close. What type of closer do I need? They can tell you, oh, you're going to need a Lion closer. That's going to handle a gate up to 165 pounds and 4 feet wide. Perfect. Here you go. You never need to specify, oh, my gate is a left swing or a right swing gate. You never need to indicate any of those factors. Everything is completely reversible for your particular application. Same thing is true of the lock. You can see on here, for the latch tip, you know, it's obviously angled on one portion, but all you got to do, you pull the 2 screws out and you can flip it around, set it up the other way in case the gate's going to swing in the other direction. So you never have to worry about, you know, oh shoot, you know, I wrote down the wrong information when I was talking to that that apartment complex. The gate actually swings the other direction. I need to go get some different hardware. If you've got our lock or again our closers, everything's completely reversible in the field for your particular application. So you'd now line this up. Obviously, if this was on a typical ornamental gate, I'd have obviously one of my pickets right over here, but this is going to fit in between the frame and your first picket. And now it would be a simple matter of bolting it into place. And that's it. I'm not going to walk you guys through all that. I'm pretty sure that all of you gentlemen here and ladies are easily able to screw this into place. But it's that simple. It is quite literally, you drill 4 holes and then you're going to bolt it into place. It's as simple for the lock. The same is also true for any of our closers. There is no welding, there is no milling, there's no grinding. It is a simple install. For our closers, what we have is our patented Quick Fix. If you thumb through parts of the catalog, you'll see it in there. It acts similar to a drywall anchor, where as you tighten it up, because you're going to drill through into your frame, as you tighten it up, it's going to expand on the inside of your post or on your gate frame, grab the inside of the frame, and they hold with 2,000 pounds of hold force. The reason that we've designed them this way is because we've seen too many times where we talk to guys in the field who have dealt with issues with fixation for other hardware, where they've installed it and it just has some self-tapping screws, and now it just doesn't have the hold force it needs over time. And as the gate shifts, you have a bad winter, posts move around on you, and it wants to pull itself out. Or it was just simply too thin a wall for it to ever have enough, you know, to grab onto, and it's going to fall out over time. Or the other frequent issues that we see are issues with oxidation, with your kind of typical, for a lot of competitors, you would simply just weld in a lockbox, and then you would just put in, you know, both your cylinder and your handle. We're giving you a complete powder-coated box here. That's why, again, you simply drill your holes, you bolt it into place, and you're good. You can have your welders building more gates for you or setting up other things, spend their time on that. This is a simple, straightforward install that, especially with our installation jig, you know, with this, because it's going to self-center, it's got all of your templates on here, you're going to install one of my locks. The first time it's going to take you about 30 minutes. You'll take your time, you'll make sure you got everything nice and lined up, you're going to do your due diligence, you're going to follow along with the instructions. Then after that, you're going to knock these out in about 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. It's very straightforward, very simple, very easy. It's totally painless. And again, we also even have the jig available through the fine folks here so that they can even...
I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Something that people are always saying to us, what lock will last outside? Mm-hmm. And you talked about how you had a powder-coated lock. So you're saying that this lock is going to have better staying power than just your average lock?
Yes. So what you see here... So it's, instead of, for a lot of typical applications that you would see out in the field, like I said, it would be a little welded box is what's most common here in Chicago when you walk up to a gate. They either have one slot in them for just the cylinder, or they'll have 2, one for a handle latch and then another one for a traditional cylinder. It's an all-in-one package for us. The lock is your latch. It's all one complete package. The outer body is a powder-coated aluminum, like I said, meant to hold up for years and years and years outside. And then the mechanism itself, everything internal, is stainless steel. In fact, that's actually, thank you for bringing this up, because it's actually where our name origin comes from. The reason we're called Locanox, because we got our start back in the 80s. The founder of the company still owns it to this very day, still working very hard. The company name is referencing the fact that we started making locks first, and then the INOX is short for inoxidizable, or stainless steel. So we started making stainless steel locks for outdoor use back in the 80s. They've been doing them ever since. And we're constantly refining our process. We're constantly developing new things, making it simpler, making it easier. We know that not only do we want to give you guys a nice value product that you can put out in the field, whether it's, you know, in a home or churches, schools, playgrounds, anything, any of those commercial or residential applications where there's going to be a lot of wear and tear, there's going to be a lot of use. You want to put something up once and you want to move on to your next job and not have to worry about, oh, Mrs. Jenkins is calling back again that they're having issues, that the gate closer's slamming the gate, or that the lock is falling off, or they're having issues with it. We want you to be able to put it in and it makes sense for you guys, but then also down the road that the residents or the property manager is going to be able to easily come out and they're going to be able to take care of the little day-to-day nitty-gritty stuff where if they say, you know what, I know you guys dialed it one way where we had it set up for a certain speed and it was closing very slow because we were worried about some of the older residents. But now we're a little bit more concerned where we've noticed because it does close so slow, we want to speed it up a little bit because we're worried that it's closing too slowly and somebody might come in behind someone else that shouldn't be. Okay, well, so who's your resident expert can come back out and can take care of that? Why? You can do that yourself. All of our closers, it's a little 3mm Allen key goes in there. You dial up the speed or down the speed, and the same thing is true of the latching speed or final snap. Every single one of them is going to have that functionality. So you can adjust your overall close rate as the gate closes, and then that final little latching speed. So you can dial it in for if you've got a mag lock and it's going to be metal on metal, and you want to keep it very nice and soft, you can. Or conversely, if you have a very heavy-duty latch that requires a little more oomph to make sure it's going to close every time, you can dial that final snap up so that for the last, say, 15 to 20 degrees, it kind of closes, like it'll snap close. That's why we call it the final snap, or most guys will refer to it as latching speed. But that's the functionality for all of our stuff. Like I said, everything's meant to be made outside. Everything is reversible. Most everything is adjustable. Again, especially everything even from the locks to the closers or self-closing hinges. Even on something as straightforward as the lock, we still want to give you that functionality because we know, unlike interior door hardware, where you're working off a fixed door frame, nothing's ever going to move over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That is not true on a gate. You don't have that overhead bar, not everything is fixed, things are going to move over time. So even on the locks, what you'll find is, again, 3mm Allen key will go right in here, drops into both the latch tip and the deadbolt, and you can now adjust these in or out 3/8 of an inch. So it's not a whole lot, but you'd be surprised. All it takes is a little shift in the gate frame over time. Again, like I said, this brutal winter we just had, if the posts were to shift away from one another, now it's a simple matter. You go back out there, and you can adjust these out easily in just a minute, because all it's going to take, oh, they shifted just a little bit, so now I dial them out, or let's say they came closer. Okay, I can twist it back in, shorten up that distance, and we're going to make sure it latches every time. Well, no, it's 3/8 total. So it's, again, it's not much, but oftentimes that makes all the difference in the world as opposed to something that was welded into place that's fixed with no adjustability. Oftentimes this is what we see where items that were designed kind of more with an interior mindset, where they may be made out of components that will hold up outside, but they don't have those adjustability factors that you'll find is so useful when it comes to gate hardware because of not having that overhead piece, that transom. Oftentimes gates will shift over time. It's going to sag or it's going to move on you, and this gives you that functionality so that you can easily go out there. And this is one of those things, like I said, oftentimes you don't even need to send a crew back out for this. This is the kind of thing that the residents or the homeowner, whoever, anybody can take care of this. And I have walked everyone through this, being the tech support locally. I've had customers call in. My favorites are always, it's always the wife or the husband. Wife calls up, I need to get this sorted. Ma'am, you can do it yourself. Oh no, I'm not mechanically inclined. Sure you are. Grab that 3mm Allen key, you can walk out there, you can take care of it, and you can rub the husband's nose in it. I took care of that gate. We don't even need a professional to come out and do that. Now it's fixed. Same thing, husband calls up, man, the wife won't get off my back. I'm having issues with the gate closer, it's slamming. All right, sir, get your 3mm Allen key, walk out there, you can adjust the speed up and down, dial it in for whatever you're looking for. You can take care of it yourself. You can feel like $1,000,000 when you walk in and sit down to dinner. You can tell her, babe, I didn't even need to talk to the pros. I took care of it myself. So those are the kind of things we want that functionality for you. It's not just, being the high level of quality. It's also about that ease of use, that ease of maintenance. So for all the closers too, the locks, the hinges, you don't have to grease any fittings. There's no one going back out there and constantly altering anything. You don't have to send the maintenance guys out there. And again, because of the hydraulics being so heavily temperature rated for both extremes, it's never an issue of where you're constantly going out there, oh shoot, the weather shifted 30 degrees today. I got to go back out there. I got to play with the adjustments on it. I got to dial it up. I got to dial it down. Nope. You can just set it and forget it. If it's closing at the speed you want, it's going to consistently close, because especially here in Chicago, every one of us is woken up on a March day where it starts out and it's 20 degrees in the morning and it's 55 degrees by noon. And with some other closers, if they don't have that compensation in there, you often have to constantly maintain them and dial them up and dial them down to deal with those changes. For us, you set it, you install it, and you forget it. Any questions, folks, on anything I went over?
Euro cylinder is a standard Euro cylinder, right?
So this lock here, this is our European style lock. That is just the Euro profile cylinder, but this is the one we offer here in the States. So this is going to have a 1 1/8 mortise cylinder. Again, they offer tons of stuff here. They can literally cut keys for you, get you anything that you're looking for. Schlage, Kwikset, Sargent. I'm sure Kim could name like 50 other ones for you. But yeah, this would be the one that we'd be focusing on here in the States, would be the mortise cylinder. Again, we do have a few that are available because originally all of our products, like I said, are made in Europe. So they started off designing them with the Euro profile cylinder, but we now have one specifically designed with the US market in mind. Yes?
Okay, I think I am getting what you're saying as far as like ease of use and the wife can do it herself and all this. But are you saying like if I bought something in this catalog that you would just ship it to me and we'd have to install it ourselves?
Right. Again, so we're just a hardware manufacturer, so you'd come in here, you would buy, again, if you found something that you were looking for, they'd be able to sell it to you guys, like I said, as our local distributor. And it's right, and it's anything, whether, if there's something that you want to pick out specifically, or again, you want to go to a professional to say, this is what I want out of my gate, this is the kind of hardware I'm looking for, what would you recommend? That's what maybe be able to steer you towards something depending upon the functionality you're looking to get out of your gate. But at the end of the day, if it was something like our lock and say like our self-closing hinges, I'm thoroughly confident that even somebody, as long as you can handle a drill, that's usually all you're going to need to install most of our products.
Yes, sir. Would you open the gate there and show us how fast it closes?
Sure. So this is on a sample gate. So again, you got to bear in mind this guy is a little bit smaller because obviously, as much as I would totally love to drag, we do have several large sample gates in our showroom, so it's not a full-size gate. So we've got this one set up a little faster just so you can kind of see how it's going to work. But so if you got it open to 90 degrees, and what's going to happen is it's going to get to about maybe 30 degrees, and you'll see where the speed changes. So there's nice and slow, and then right there it jumps. And so we've got it set up so you can see that difference. And now again, if I wanted to, I could dial this all the way down so it would literally crawl. So, yeah, the whole distance. You could leave the final snap off of it, so you could have it move at a perfect snail's pace. So what, especially if it's an elderly care facility, and obviously we do not want to take the legs out from under grandma when she's walking in, or again, even if it's just at an apartment complex and there's lots of little kids and stuff like that, and you want to make it move nice and slow as everyone's coming in with their groceries and stuff, you can do that. But if it's a more secure facility, it's a business or something like that, it's a side gate in an alley, and you want to make sure the employees come in, they use their key to get in or their badge or however the gate is set up, and you want it to close quickly to make sure nobody else who's not supposed to be there is coming in behind them, you also have that option as well.
Now, in your catalog, on page 9, I believe, it says a silent opening and closing. Mm-hmm. But when you shut that, it has a little loud bang.
Right, and like I said, this one is specifically, I've got it sped up so that you can easily see that difference for the demonstration purposes. So yeah, so if we dialed it all the way down to a crawl, it could, again, and especially too, this is obviously a latch, but if you had it, say, on a mag lock where it's a metal plate on a metal plate, that was where you'd leave it definitely crawling close to one another, because in the case of a mag lock, you just need to get the two plates as close as possible. You don't even need them to touch. So in that case, you'd leave all of your speeds very slowly, and so they would just come together on a mag lock, and you wouldn't have them literally banging metal on metal because it would be extraordinarily loud.
Can the latch get out of alignment and then it doesn't catch the...
So again, yeah, kind of like what I was talking about earlier.
I know that happens everywhere.
Of course. And that's going to come down to a number of different factors. So if it has, again, that's where, like I said, you've got that adjustability. If it's our lock, obviously you'll have the adjustability in there to move in those latch tip and the deadbolt. So that's one way. Again, if it's something where the gate has sagged over time or something like that, then you're looking at possibly having to, either maybe, especially if it's not our hinge or something like that, maybe you're removing the hinge. Now the nice thing is that on that sample gate you see up there behind you that they've got on their counter, that is our self-closing hinges that are up there. And on those, it's a built-in functionality on those where there is adjustability in them. So even after you've drilled your holes and installed them, you have the adjustability to go back, loosen up the fittings, and move it both horizontally and vertically. So again, in case something has changed over time, you've got that play. That's speaking, again, like I said, to our hardware. If you just bolt on my retrofit closer, and it's working just fine, but the gate has somebody else's hardware on it, and it's sagged and not lining up right, I can't help you there.
So this lock here is made specifically for a iron fence.
Correct. So all of our hardware is designed for either ornamental or, again, a metal frame gate. So even, again, on chain link would be another application. We do have adapters so that you can adapt it to a round fixation. But so, again, for chain link, ornamental. And the ornamental, whether it's aluminum or steel, again, it will still mount to it. We have a couple of products that are designed for wood. They're a little bit less commonplace, again, but most of our stuff is all designed specifically to attach to ornamental steel or aluminum or, again, chain link gates.